So I'll be giving you an update on what's new in Psychtoolbox, in particular since the VSS meeting in 2019. And Mario Kleiner will be available at the end for all of your questions. To start with, I thought I'd just give a general overview about Psychtoolbox. It's an open source toolbox that allows you to flexibly design your experiments with reliable timing and also the most advanced features available. It's optimally used with the open source Linux operating system, and that's because its development includes optimizing Linux for the best possible timing and features that wouldn't be available otherwise. If you think about when you want the sort of best timing from your experiment, what you want is to actually have control over what the operating system is doing itself, and that's exactly what Psychtoolbox does on Linux. It's also available for Windows and macOS, but those are a bit more of a black box that Psychtoolbox is working on top of. It also works well on GNU Octave as a free MATLAB alternative for common use cases, just giving you the most options to do your experiments as possible. Psychtoolbox has a really thriving community. It's cited by over 30,000 articles as of May 2022. There are also lots of toolboxes that build on top of Psychtoolbox, kind of just extending its functionality in different domains. We name a few here, but there's many more. And it's even a part of some Python-based toolboxes like CyclePy free. I'm now just going to go through and give you a general overview of the kind of notable new features in Psychtoolbox. This is going to be just at a high level, and if you're interested in more details, the best thing is to look this up or to ask on the forum. Multi-touch touchscreen support. This is something that's been available for a while with advanced support on Linux, but now there's also basic support on Windows for this. High dynamic range is a new feature. This allows you to have a wider range of brightnesses than previously possible. For best use of that, you're going to want to use Linux with AMD graphics, and that includes precise timing and dual display stereoscopic presentation. But there's also availability on Windows, a bit on macOS, also for NVIDIA graphics. And you can also do HDR movie playback on Linux and Windows. There's a new Vulkan display backend. That's something that was necessary for the high dynamic range, but this will also allow for new future display possibilities, so really kind of opening up new possibilities there. Variable refresh rate, this is a really exciting new feature. This is something that allows you, rather than just showing your stimuli at a fixed refresh rate, for example, 60 Hertz on a standard monitor, you can delay the presentation of a frame. So that would allow you to do things like to show your stimuli at a different refresh rate than sort of normal. You can specify that, or even to dynamically change your refresh rate. So that's something that's available on Linux, ideally with AMD. And I think we'll open up a lot of really exciting possibilities in visual science. 12-bit color precision is also now available. This allows you to have much more finer steps of color than previously possible. That's a world first for Linux with AMD graphics, and Mario has also been working to prepare Linux for future 16-bit graphics. There are MATLAB installer improvements just for easier setup without needing the separate Subversion client installation. There's also now support for hybrid graphics laptops. So these are laptops that have more than one graphics card in them, and that could cause some issues in terms of visual timing. Those are now supported on Linux. There have also been visual timing fixes for macOS. This allows proper timing on most Intel Macs with AMD, Intel, and NVIDIA GPUs. But bear in mind that for the new Apple M1 Macs, the timing will have issues on those because of the hardware changes in those machines. And in general, macOS isn't recommended due to operating system bugs that generally just cause problems in a lot of areas. So in general, you're always going to be better off using Linux. And another exciting development, SciBuilder. This is a third-party graphical user interface allowing simple experimental building, a bit similar to the CyclePy builder that you might have heard of. A few things that are coming soon. Mario is currently working on OpenXR virtual reality support. This will improve the current VR support available in Psychtoolbox, also adding the first-time possibility of AR and XR support. And it'll allow virtual reality support on a wider range of VR hardware than currently. There's this new VPIX service that will allow you to run Psychtoolbox experiments online in the web, and I'll be talking more about that in, I think, a later session today. And Mario also has plans for improvements, further improvements to the variable refresh rate, making this even more precise and robust, fine-grained visual timing with VRR. And he even has a working prototype of this, but it just kind of needs more funding and time to be fully realized. Okay, so those were kind of all the good, exciting things going on with Psychtoolbox. In terms of problems, we still have an issue in terms of funding. To kind of summarize it with this XKCD comic, Mario Kleiner in particular has been developing Psychtoolbox as the main developer for a long time, and kind of the amount of things that need to be maintained within Psychtoolbox and also then things that are on top of it has really kind of exploded. And in terms of maintenance work, this is stuff that will just you know, work around bugs in operating systems, or this or fix problems in general, and is something that requires a lot of time. And this is where we really need support from the community financially to be able to maintain this. We'd created this Psychtoolbox community membership program. We're now calling it the Psychtoolbox support membership, based on a previous survey where about a third of over 1,000 labs said that they would contribute a little bit financially yearly if they had the ability to do so. But unfortunately, so far, only less than 50 labs have actually done that. So what we kind of hope is that you will kind of hear this message, spread the word, and start contributing. And I'll tell you more about what the Psychtoolbox support membership program is in a minute. So how can you help? So you can buy a Psychtoolbox support membership for your lab. The idea is that this will be one per lab, 150 euros plus tax. So generally pretty low in comparison to a lot of other things that you might be buying for your lab. Businesses can also join our partner program. And you can also contract to us for development of new features, and this can be something very flexible. So going into each one of those in a bit more detail, with the Psychtoolbox support membership, this will give you 30 minutes of expert support directly from Mario Kleiner, the main developer of Psychtoolbox, on any sort of Psychtoolbox related question that you have, or potentially you have a problem with your experiment and you're not quite sure what's going wrong. Can help with that. If you just buy one and you don't use it, then the funds go directly towards maintenance and creation of new features. So this is a really good thing to do. And basically what we would like is that labs would buy one and use it as an insurance, in particular because each additional hour of support will be at a rate of 300 euros per hour plus tax. But if you have a membership and you keep it up, then you'll get a large discount on that rate. So essentially the idea is that if you help us financially, then we will support you in terms of if you have an issue that you need help with Psychtoolbox. So now the Psychtoolbox partner program. So this is for businesses that use Psychtoolbox or are dependent on Psychtoolbox. The idea is that we can offer you proactive integration and testing of your partner software and hardware with current Psychtoolbox versions, so that any potential bugs that might affect you and are caught early before they affect your end users. And the best thing is to get in touch and to talk about this, and we can talk about what might be an appropriate level for your needs. You can also contract us for new features. So maybe your lab has a particular idea for an experimental paradigm that would require new functionality from Psychtoolbox, or maybe you've got a business that requires new Psychtoolbox functionality. You can get in touch and we can discuss possibilities for contracting us to develop that sort of functionality within Psychtoolbox for your needs. And just a few examples of successful previous contract work are the High Dynamic Range project that was funded by VSS, the virtual reality work, and also the Apple macOS timing fixes. Lastly, we are also conducting a survey. We want to kind of better understand the needs of Psychtoolbox users and what we can potentially offer as financial services for you. You can check Twitter for the link to that, or you can also follow this QR code. It will also be on the final slide. And upon completion of that survey, as a thank you, you'll receive a discount code for your next Psychtoolbox support membership purchase. So I'd like to thank you for listening, and I'd like to remind you to visit psychtoolbox.net to buy a Psychtoolbox support membership via lab. You can follow us now on Twitter at Psychtoolbox. We'll be posting about general updates with Psychtoolbox or tips and tricks. You can take part in our survey, and that would be a great help for us to better understand your needs. And if you have follow-up questions to this presentation, the best place to ask would be on the Psychtoolbox community forum on Discourse.